You know, I can't say this is a video I expected to, okay, at least in this capacity. When I had the model in my hands and we could unbox it and take a closer look at it, yeah, but that's another thing. As I'm sure some of you guys already know, we've recently got a closer look at the Bachmann Rebecca, or a bit of a sneak peek, a first look at what the model will be from a Thomas Tuesday live stream. And, well, today we're gonna react to it, because not only is there a lot to talk about, a lot to see, but trust me, this is looking to be one of Bachmann's best Thomas models ever, at least at this point. But before we get into that, let's take an actual look at the model and just, ladies and gentlemen, look at this. This is, okay, let's just jump into what I like right off the bat, the pros. The overall body shape or look of Rebecca is definitely there. If you look at the cab, we can see some open windows there on the side, which is always appreciated, at least by me. And now looking at the chassis, overall, this is just looking so good so far. We've got metal wheels, a pretty good valve gear makeup, some separately fitted brake rigging. I mean, personally, all around, this thing isn't even painted yet, and I'm seeing nothing to complain about. Like, if I could change anything, I don't think I would. This is a pretty damn good looking engine. Okay, now we move to the front, and here, again, there is plenty of damn things to talk about. We've got a solid face, which at this point isn't painted, so we can't really judge it with the most certainty or accuracy. But from what we can see so far, that does look pretty accurate to Rebecca. Now, this model will have moving eyes, and I believe Bo, or one of the newer Thomas engines, has kind of started to confuse people a little bit. Bo does not signify the end of the moving eye stuff. It just means that they couldn't fit it into his model. Bo is an already existing tooling that has been modified to be a Thomas character. In terms of Rebecca and most of these other characters, they are completely made to be the Thomas characters. So that, you know, it's no problem to fit that in Rebecca for Bachmann. With Bo, he's kind of just a special case, so don't worry about that with these models or newer ones. But let's forget the face for a second and move down to the buffer beam. This looks to be completely die-cast, just like the wheels and chassis portion, which, again, that's pretty new for Bachmann and is pretty damn cool. Now, we've also got plenty of detail on the buffer beam itself, which does get me a bit excited. For example, the hook. This does not look to be that oversized, you know, Gray, Gordon, and Henry hook that a lot of other Bachmann engines have, like Toby or stuff like that. Now, at least from this image, it appears to be pretty, you know, scale accurate with the model. Not to mention the decently sized buffers, and again, just overall beautiful look. Now, moving on from the locomotive, the tender has plenty of detail as well. Now, sadly, we can't really see everything here since these are unpainted samples. But from what we can see, a lot of what we said about the body applies here. Like, look at that chassis detail. It really seems like Bachmann is going above and beyond here, and they didn't just cheap out or, you know, get lazy when it came to the tender. It seems to be the same level of consistency with detail and just overall appreciation with the locomotive. But also, really quickly, I'd like to direct your attention to the tender steps. That is fine scale detailing. We have never gotten that on a Bachmann Thomas anything. That is, again, very unique and something that has me very excited. Yeah, if you look at models like Emily or maybe Gordon or Henry, most of the detail is focused in the front portion or the locomotive part. They did not do that with Rebecca. At least so far, this thing is looking to be just a masterpiece. But like I said at the beginning of this video, those are the positive things, the pros. Sadly, we do have a few cons, or things that have me a bit worried, or anxious, I should say. Now, in terms of detail, there's really only one thing that has me a bit anxious, or curious, I guess is a better word to say. Now, as you saw before, the side windows are completely cut out. That is a detail we are getting. We don't know about the front of the cab, though. Maybe those windows just are molded like they are on most Bachmann engines, and that would, in my opinion, kind of suck. I mean, look at everything they've done with the chassis, with the, again, side windows. Everything about this engine is above and beyond so far, and if they cheap out, at least in that regard, I'll be a little bit disappointed, but we don't know yet. Yeah, these images are really not the best. Again, this is from a live stream, so we'll see in time. Maybe that's something I'm just worrying about and don't need to worry about. But besides that, I think there's two other things to be kind of wary of. Number two, it'll probably be quite a while before you actually see this engine, or a painted sample. Now, I hope I'm wrong, at least in terms of the painted sample. I feel like we'll probably see that, you know, by year's end. We'll see what Rebecca will look like. But by buying this thing, or in terms of getting one yourself, maybe June or July of next year is when I'd say you're probably going to see this thing in stores or hit online stores for shipping. And, you know, that does kind of suck. Seeing this model does get me hyped. But truth be told, let Bachmann take all the time they need. I mean, so far they've made some pretty phenomenal results. Let them cook. Let's see what they do with the time they need. And, you know, that could be completely and totally wrong. Both of those are just kind of speculation. But knowing Bachmann and how this process tends to work, yeah, it'll probably be next year by the time you can own Rebecca in your collection. Now, number 3 is probably the most alarming thing to most people, and I feel like I should mention it here. The price currently, if you look at the Bachmann catalog, is at $299. That is or $300. That's her suggested retail. Yeah, that's probably the most expensive HO scale or 00 scale Bachmann Thomas anything that has ever existed. But really quick, I'd also like to remind people this is in a catalog. That is a suggested retail price. That is not reflective of what every Bachmann Rebecca will cost. But let's remember a couple things here. Number 1, this is a completely new tooling and is a big engine. It'll probably be pretty expensive. Number 2, we've got a lot of die cast and pretty extensive detail going on here, and heavier parts, I should say. Now, truth be told, I feel like $300 is just a little bit much for a Bachmann Thomas character, no matter what you're getting, especially here. But with that being said, you know, be prepared to pay maybe upwards of $200, maybe a little more, a little less when this thing first comes out. At the most, maybe $250. Now, again, this is just my opinion. I could completely and totally be wrong here, but I imagine it'll be a couple years before you see this thing hit the price mark of $150, $130-ish, you know, like a Bachmann, Gordon, or Henry, those prices. But if I'm being real, you know, after everything we've seen today, having a die-cast, buffer beam, all that extra chassis detail, it makes complete and total sense why Rebecca would be a little bit more expensive, or maybe even quite a bit more expensive than Bachmann, Gordon, or Henry, or engines like that, or they're already existing big engines. They've done a lot more here with this tooling than they've managed to do or care to do, I guess, with their older stuff. Now, does that justify $300? No. Again, in my opinion, that's still a bit ludicrous, but it at least makes sense now after seeing these samples and hopefully, or eventually, be a review on this channel. I just can't wait to see this model next to Lady. That's an image in my head that I think will be funny, and we need to see that. But I'm also curious what you guys think. Be sure to comment down below what your impressions of the Bachmann Rebecca are, and if you plan to pick one up for yourself. Now, really quick, as always, huge shout out to my patrons for making videos like this possible. If you ever want to join these beautiful people on screen and see videos or projects early, be sure to check out the link in the description. And with all that being said, prepare your wallets, because Bachmann, they mean business this time. Bachmann is coming for every cent we have, from the looks of it.
Either subscribe, donate, or get the fuck out.